Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper. And guys, welcome to another edition of the Hard Truth Show. I trust everyone's having a good Sabbath today, those that are keeping the Father's scriptural calendar. And for those that do not know when that is, I encourage you to check out this app right here. Give me just 1 second. Download this. It's a World's Last Chance calendar app. It is a biblical scriptural calendar app to help you track the scriptural set-apart days, the new moon, Sabbaths, and appointed times of the Most High Yah by the ancient paths. I encourage you to do so. We stream on here on Sabbath days, and then also try to get on here on new moons when I do live streams. Guys, if you haven't checked me out over at Odyssey, make sure to check me out over there, because as you know, whenever I talk about certain topics and I get them pulled, that content pulled over here, you can at least find it over on Odyssey. All right. Also, just a quick shout out, guys. Just a little quick plug here. If you haven't checked out my other YouTube channel, Black Flag KingdomMindedCo, link should be in the video description below. But if not, you can just type it in on the search bar. All things crypto, teaching people how to set up things from off-grid to setting your equipment up to the whole 9 yards. And we got some really cool stuff to announce coming up over there too. So make sure to check that out. So last couple things as usual. If you haven't been following the stream lately, I don't know what's up with that background, why it's so blurred, but stream 74, we covered the so-called aliens or the fallen angels of old, which are also helping create the situation of the lies of the globe earth today. And, you know, that's going to be one of the greatest deceptions in the last days, people thinking that there's aliens when in reality it's demons. And one of the biggest hoaxes to help people believe that is the so-called globe earth model. All right, next thing is understanding spiritual warfare and how to combat it in the last days. Talked about that on the last stream, because we're entering some crazy times, and you better go armored up, because it's going to get wild out there. And today's stream, we're going to be talking about, I would believe in a globe earth if. Please note that I left FLAT earth out of this today, because that way, hopefully, I could beat the algorithm, and I'm not going to say that word either on here. So that way, hopefully, I'm slipping through the cracks for once. I'm going to get smart and combat this and the new algorithm that is YouTube. So we're going to be talking about this from an angle. If I was going to believe in a globe earth, these are the problems that I run into. A much love shout out to you, Brother Fearmonger. I see you in here as a supporter of the channel. Much love to everybody. Shout out to you. Yeah, so we're going to be conversating on this today from a viewpoint that if I was going to be a globe earth believer, right, then what sells me on that, right? Because, you know, this whole dynamic right now, the whole dynamic that, NASA purports and all this stuff going on, you've got a hard sell for me on this, because you've got to make this lie believable to me. And it just doesn't add up, because the things that you say are one way, when empirical evidence is stacked against that, it doesn't add up that direction. So we have a fundamental disconnect here. And so that's why I know, Robin, I'm trying to do better, everybody. I want to be honest with you. YouTube has really, what is the word I would say here, disenfranchised me to the point where it gets hard to get motivated to get on here. And it's like I started the YouTube channel for Black Flag KingdomMindedCo to help support, my crypto mining business, because it's like we're actually building mining products and stuff now. I don't want to talk about that on Sabbath. Just, you can check it out on another day over there. But it's like I really wanted to do something to help incentivize and bring people over to the website, to the YouTube channel, all that. And every time I go to do something on YouTube, whether it's for Seven Trumpets Prepper or for Black Flag KingdomMindedCo, I'm like, these people hate me. I'm like, you know how hard it is to promote content and build content on a platform where it's just like, man, they hate me, But anyway, so I'm trying to get back to that old path of just plowing content out, because people need to hear the truth now more than ever. So I don't want that to feel disenfranchised. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to throw 3 things up here real quick. 2 are scripture, and 1 is the template by which we're going to go off of. Okay. I want to hit this thing first with some scripture today. when people talk about, you know, the earth rotating and things of such, now, if you want to take a picture of the screen, you can do so. I borrowed some of these screen caps I'd found on Facebook. I thought they were great points to go off of. But if you look at the scripture, you can see here how that the earth is fixed, unmovable. And there's also another thing. It's a 200 plus Bible verses of FLAT, earth. If you want to check that out. Anyway, point in case is that if you look throughout scripture, that you can see how the sun revolves around a disc. And that, you know, just like when the day that Jehoshua was in the battle, you know, by Joshua, asked the sun and moon to stand still. Now, if we're on a spinning ball, we would all just been flung off of it that day if it come to a complete stop. And people say, well, that's not so. Well, okay, let's just run the scenario for a minute that, you know, you're right? And that it's a ball. Then you have to actually acknowledge there's a creator and believe that divine intervention happened. One way or another, it's still not going to end up well for you if you're not a believer on that. So, you know, you've got a conflict of interest there both ways. But long and short of it, you can find so many scriptures where that it validates that the earth is inside a vaulted dome. It is fixed and unmovable, that the stars in the heavens circulate within. That, you know, that the four corners of the earth, and I can go on and on and on. Right here, I want to go ahead and just read some of these for you. It says here that you can see who builds his upper chambers in the heavens and founds his vault. Actually, I believe in the American Standard Version, it says his vaulted dome up on the earth. It's not just vault, it's vaulted dome up on the earth. And that, like I said, though, that should be Amos 9 in the American Standard Version. But nevertheless, if you look at some of these translations, it definitely covers that there is an enclosed area. And guys, I'll get to your comments in just a second. I can't see them right this moment where I'm looking at this. And as you go on down through here, and I'm just taking some of these subsets out and looking at it, as you can see here, the sky vanished like a scroll that is being rolled up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. Now, if the sky is just the sky, then where did the sky go? Unless the covering over the sky was moved away. You see here, it says, my hand has also hath laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand hath spanned the heavens. When I call unto them, they stand up together. All right. I mean, guys, I'll be honest with you. If you go through the 200 verses poster thing that they have online for free of all the scriptures, it is just absolutely unreal, the evidence of the Father's handiwork. And with that said, I took this, I seen this the other day, and two things inspired me to do this. This was the first thing. And the second thing is, as I start my presentation, as usual, you'll see the second thing that brought it up. And shout out to Brother Tim Greer for this, for the second one. But I want to bring this up multiple times today as we go through our slide presentation, because this is my punch list for me to explain why I can't no longer be sold on a globe earth. I went to reading down through this, and I'm like, so many of these points as I went through my flat earth journey. Oh, I said it. I'll probably get dinged on the algorithm now. As I went through my journey to the truth of the stationary flat earth under a firmament dome, with waters above and waters below, it was conclusive that many of these evidences here is what helped lead me to that. So we'll be referencing this multiple times throughout the presentation today. Real quickly, let me check the comments out here. All they'd have to do is show the earth actually spin on real pictures. I think the best one was where that somebody said they weren't an FE'er and they wasn't a globey, is that to just please spin around on the ISS and show video of the sun. That was such a simple question. That just so simple. But anyway, right here on our presentation today, one of the, actually, can I put myself down the corner? Yeah, but I don't want to do that just yet. Let me go. Oh, I've messed myself up here. Sorry, guys. 1 second. 1 second. There we go. All right. So, this coming, I think it's the following week. Yeah, on the pagan weekend, on the pagan Roman papal Gregorian satanic calendar, you can find that the 2nd of December at 6 p.m., there will be a debate about said topic on said picture. And it's a free event. And it'll be Pastor Greg Locke versus Pastor Dean Ogle. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't care who wins, loses, or draws at this debate. What's going to be so interesting is that I personally think this is going to be the spark that lights a nuclear football in the Christian world to start discussing this. And then what will happen is there'll be another nuclear meltdown where a lot of people will leave the church house regardless and come over to the truth of the Torah and start walking in the light of Yah, because that when you've been lied to on this particular point, you start to unravel and see that I've been lied to about the scriptural calendar. I've been lied to about who the true Hebrew Israelites are. I've been lied to about not keeping the commandments. I've been lied to about a lot. So this ought to be quite the snowball effect that I think this is just the tip of the avalanche here, to be completely honest. And so long and short of it, this particular thing right here coming up, I got to thinking about it, and I was like, this would be a great time to go back over and review with people the truths. And so hopefully those people that's watching this debate, this will be a preliminary thought pattern to go into that, and you'll have a baseline of information to both sides of that argument, because many people already have had NASA beating their head into their head since kindergarten. Now it's an opportunity to hear other points in contention to that. So our first item that we're going to discuss is and guys, before we get too far along, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and hit it for all notifications. If you'd like to support the channel financially, links are in the video description below, but you are not, you do not have no obligation to have to do so. But if you could just so kindly hit the like button at some point today, likes are free. All right, got that out of the way, and here we go. So I would believe in a globe if there were real photographs. It amazes me how many moon missions took place. And, you look at photography and stuff, and they have, there's been a great discussion over time. Let me see if I've got that other photo right there. Yeah, let me go to that and then back up the other one. So, the famous photo of the moon, of the Earth from the moon. And then you look at the, purchasing of NASA, that the biggest purchaser of CGI technology, I believe, photoshopping, things like that, is NASA. And then the second biggest purchasing item they buy, I believe, is helium. So that's the two biggest purchases that NASA makes, that's in the really weird, questionable zone, right? And when you look at this, it starts to be pretty obvious that you have an issue there where that the Earth apparently was added to that later on. There's been a big argument, debate about this stuff, later on down the line. There's so many issues, just like with the lander being able to fit in to the capsule, all this stuff, guys. I could just go on and on and on about all this stuff, and I'm not. What I want to do is approach this from a very grounded baseline, that you have to look at this and ask the question, okay, I know I've been told the narratives on things. I know I've been told what to believe, but I need, empirical, tangible data to verify this, right? And when you look at this and you start seeing people that, are good with Photoshop and, all this tech and everything and reverse engineering things now, and they start being like, hey, this wasn't originally on this. This has been a layered image. That starts running red flags up for me, okay? Not to mention, when we talk about the moon missions and stuff like that, which I'll get further into later, there is just so much coming out about that in the latter years of life that many people are sharing in their latter years, that have been part of this deception and things like that, that it makes you really start questioning what is up, because so many people starting to come out and explain, that they've been lied to. And helping deceive others. I mean, there's people that literally have worked for NASA doing Photoshop work and has come out and said, hey, yeah, we put this together from pieced together images and CGI and all that stuff. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. This might be the comment of the day. Price of Adam. Empirical evidence is observable without theory or logic. That's how and why a globe has none. Hey, shout out. That might be the comment of the day thus far. Guys, I'm seeing the comments piling in. Just bear with me here. Yes, that is absolutely a cursed image right there. Lies. So, the first point I make on this, and I don't want to spend forever on this, like I've got a bunch to go through today, but first thing I want to ask everybody is from all the videos in the CGI you've seen of people like working for NASA, that's supposed to be in the ISS, where that you can see their suspension wires hanging, and the CGI sometimes will glitch and things like that. And like there's so much of it now on like from TikTok universe to YouTube to Odyssey to Rumble to all these platforms where you can literally see it on live TV where it glitched out. Like, does that not, make you back up and be like, there's something seriously wrong here, right? Just on this one point alone. I mean, this one was a huge disconnect for me. Once that I stepped out of fantasy land, what I'd been told, and the lies that I'd been fed all my life, and really started analyzing, like serious analytical looking at this, that one really bothered me, right? All right. Now, the next one is I would believe in a globe if someone measured the curve. All right. Now, shout out to Brother Rob Skiba. I hate so bad when we done the Restoring the Foundations conference, I think back in 2018, we done that he wasn't able to make it. Me and Brother Joel reached out to him, and I forget what was going on. He was talking at another conference that same weekend, or he had to be somewhere, and we were trying to sort it out. And I'd have to just go back through my Facebook Messenger to remember exactly what all was the context. But anyway, long and short of it, he didn't get to be there, and I hate it so bad because, it wasn't long after that, and he was no longer with us anymore. But I will tell you one thing that will always stick with me that Rob Skiba done, and I think it is a massive nail in the coffin for the globe Earth thing, is that when he proved that the Chicago skyline is not a mirage. Okay, well, if you've ever seen his laser test thing and all the stuff they've done, he done with that, like that one right there is a measurable, observable distance. The drop that should have been, it should have been a massive drop over the miles, and yet it was just straight across. And, another thing too, now I'm going to say this from my former career life and doing off-grid construction. You look at an engineering handbook, it'll tell you not to account for curvature drop. So if you're putting an array of panels in and it's just going for miles and miles, like you see these huge arrays nowadays, don't worry about curvature drop, blah, 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 blah. Just keep piling pipes in the ground and keep mounting panels, baby. It's just wild. Here's the thing. I think all nations are in on it. Furthermore, I don't think they'd let the cat out of the bag, because then they're going to lose control of their peasants. That's really why I think that this isn't told. That's my honest truth on that. I really believe. Hey, Cindy, much love. Shout out to you. Yeah, it's great to be back with you in the building. Now, my next thing, and once again, rest in peace, Brother Skiba. I hope his reward is great in the kingdom, and I hope that he enters into the kingdom of life one day in the resurrection. The next thing is I would believe in a globe if someone showed me how water can curve and stick to a ball when it's not what we observe. Okay. Now, I'll tell you, one of the things, I don't have a slide for that one. Okay. I'm working off the same one here is another thing is, at the beach, sorry guys, I got to remember how I put my slides in here, is when, like you're at the beach and stuff, and, people's like, well, the ship just went over the curve. You can take a zoom in camera and you can zoom that cargo container ship and bring it right back in, and then let it go over again and zoom it right back in, and let it go over again and zoom it right back in. And then you probably zoomed as far as you can go on your camera. But like this stuff is not rocket science. If you want rocket science, go to NASA, because that's where, the Disney fairy tales and lies dwell at. Okay, if you want reality, here is reality. Here is things I'm telling you can check out. I'm telling you, if you haven't checked out this Rob Skiba video, it's really good stuff. I mean, it's really empirical, measurable data. And I'm going to say that again and again and again throughout this video, because I want to hammer that into people's eye heads that live in fantasy land, okay? because it's very important we understand this, because one day, whenever you see like, who knows what in the sky, from UFOs to aliens to whatever you want to call it, it's just demonic deception in the last days. It's not reality. It's a reality. Something's there, but it ain't the reality that's been presented. Somebody said nice skull and bones cap. Well, let's verify that. It's actually crossed swords, and it's a Bitcoin eye patch, which, I've caught a lot of grief about the the pirate logo for my crypto mining business. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not gonna apologize to nobody for that, because if you actually go over and read the About Us page, it explains why I chose that. And it's because that so many nations look at cryptocurrency as piracy. So I figured, if you're going to tell me I'm selling under the black flag, I'll go ahead and just gladly fly under the black flag and do my thing. And I have to say, business has been very well, everybody. And it's been so nice to be home with my family and not climbing, wind turbines and 30-degree weather, 50-foot high in the middle of nowhere, or, working in Alaska, putting panels on a cabin in a frigid cold. It's been really, really nice. So, yeah, I'll catch all the grief I need to on that stuff. But anyway, moving to the next point that we can find here on the scripture, out of the scripture and points of reference, is that one thing, when you talk about immovable, right, is that, one thing we can do is look at the North Star, and we notice how that it doesn't change, but yet we're supposed to be on a spinning globe going through space. Is that, if you notice, that isn't actually accurate, because we have a serious problem here, is that you have stars circling perfectly above us. And, anybody that does a time lapse on the stars can see this as well. And it's consistency, it's continuity. What is it? Genesis 1 and 14, the seasons, they're signaled by the stars. They're consistent for millennia and millennia and millennia. And yet we're being told something completely different. So there's an issue here, is that if that is the case, then why is the obvious not there for us? Because we can't find that. Like, the fairy tale is being told to us, but the empirical, tangible data tells us otherwise when we look at the master and creator's firmament dome. It just don't add up. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm sorry. We won't be having that going on. Yeah. And that's actually why I intentionally changed that too, because I don't want that to be. I actually thought about it too after the fact. I was like, I should have just had a Bitcoin with cross swords later. Not to go squirrel here, but I got to thinking about it. I was like, oh, the eye patch is like, now I'm going to get hit. Somebody be like, look at him sporting Nimrod because the one eye thing. I was like, oh my gosh. But anyway, just some random thoughts went through my head whenever I was doing the logos design for the Bitcoin thing. Just funny. But anyway, all right. The next point, and I'll definitely want to kick it on this one for a minute, is that if I would believe in a globe, if it wasn't 2,000 degrees Celsius where the ISS and satellites supposedly are. Now, this one, guys, if anybody's been asleep at the wheel recently, remember that, we were shooting satellites out of the sky all over the place here lately. It was China. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do if China isn't on the menu to be the one that's doing stuff all the time, because everybody always says, oh, it's China. We get our sicknesses from China. We get our satellites from China. Oh, my word. I mean, we get our ISSs on balloons from China, apparently, because, they say that there's satellites in space. They say there is all this satellite junk in space. But you know what's funny is there's never actual photos of satellites in space, like real stuff. Like, there's always this CGI stuff. Like, who was it recently that went to went to the moon? Was it Pakistan? No, it was India. Yeah, India went to the moon recently. And if you watch that, they needed some serious CGI help, okay? Because that was just a pitiful display of so-called going to the moon. But now this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is a huge, huge one for me, because there has been multiple times, I should have put this in slides too. There's been multiple times where satellites have failed out of space. And guess what they were hooked to? A weather balloon. Like, they had They had all the photovoltaic rigging on it, right? Power supply, communication systems, everything, right? But whenever they fail, they were attached to a helium balloon. So that, to me, that's just a huge red flag. You know, just insane. But let's see. Yeah. Amazon landscaping. This is the last comment I'm going to make about that, because it seems like today that's quite the distraction, and I really hate that because I really want to stay on topic. But here's the deal, guys. Like I said, whenever the nations of the world is anti you having your financial freedom, if you look back in the day, that's one of the reasons why people were privateers in doing that. So I'm not going to apologize for taking up against the new world. Let me stretch that out for a second and pause order, so I don't get hit in the algorithm today too. I'm not going to apologize for that, because I'm just I'm not going to bend the knee. And especially y'all watch out whenever that mark of the beast in the hand, the forehead thing gets rolling on out with the, I don't know if y'all seen it at Whole Foods. You have to hold your hand over the pad now, apparently, to pay. I think it was Whole Foods. Man, if it wasn't Whole Foods, I'm trying to think. It was the other one that's like it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Whole Foods. And the woman was so excited on the video. And I was like, I'll be keeping my funds out of the system. And we'll be just doing our own thing over here on a private level, which is winning. So that's all I have to say about that. So moving, and absolutely death. Yeah, morbid symbol. I hope crypto, more people adopt it privately, and it is especially the privacy coins, and it's death to the financial wicked systems of the world, because that's exactly how people beat the wall that was in East Berlin. I've actually been to the Berlin Wall. Is that they ran a parallel society, and it finally broke them. And that's another conversation for another day, which I think I've actually covered before. But anyway, the next point that I want to cover, guys, is right here, is that I would believe in a globe Earth if not for sundials, astrolabes, and gyroscopes. Now, an interesting thing to me is that, whether it's the sundial of Ahaz, whether you see where that, you see the prophet speaking of the sun going forward or backward, and of course the sun went. It was an easy thing for the sun to go back or forward, but instead it went backwards, which was, a clear sign Most High Yah had approved. So whenever you look at this on a globe Earth situation, this just doesn't jive out. But when you look at this in an enclosed environment, and sundials and how they're designed to work and etc., it actually makes perfect sense on a flat geostationary Earth under a firmament dome. And this is I don't know, red herring's the right word to use on this. It's one of those lingering issues that the more that we move past the knowledge of the ancient world and we move more toward digitalized and technological advancements of society, and those people that's born pretty much the post 80s, that lives be after the 1980s, where that all they've ever known is technology, and not people that have seen the world before big tech and lived in the world of big tech. That threshold crossover, there's not many people left that young people that can kind of see this for what it is. You have just very older population and very, very young population. Then you have the people that were born in the 80s, that one that can mesh in the middle, that's been, I think, really gifted to see both worlds. You have a big disconnect there. And when you start looking at this, then you've got the issues. What is it? I gotta get to that in a minute. It's just wild, absolutely wild. But nevertheless, Ethan, thank you. Shout out to you, brother. Or Ethan Ben Yisrael. He said it was Whole Foods. Yeah, that was some trippy, crazy stuff. Unreal. I gotta see this there. So divided here. People discredit Lucas as a Mason. Yeah, well, I'm not a Mason. Never been a Freemason. That is a satanic cult. People need to really look in that. And if you are a Mason, you need to get up out of there. Pirates and Masons are quite the difference there. Yet there are still military troll farm people discrediting him for exposing NASA. Man, y'all savage in these comments, man. I love y'all. I love y'all. And I don't care if people don't like me or not. Listen, the worst thing you ever do is tell me I've offended somebody. I'll just drive it in even more. Because I'm just that way. I would believe in a globe if the Coriolis effect actually worked, but I've seen different results in the same hemisphere. Yeah. Now, I got a slide here for this just in case somebody's not up in the know on what they're talking about with this. Like, you see how like typhoons, hurricanes, etc., the circular effects, things like that. Well, people, you flush a toilet here, it may go one way, then it may go another. This to me is not comprehensive. And this is only science because some scientists said it. And I forgot the other day I seen this thing that said 90% of scientists agree with whoever's paying them. And I was like, boy, if that ain't the truth, facts. But the Coriolis effect thing to me does. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't care if the Earth was a cube, a circle, a globe, concave, hollow. Have I missed anything? I know I've missed something. Somebody help me. And I don't know what that one is where it go, like they've got that model where it dips down and then it comes back up, but then it has 4 square. I can't remember what that one is. But anyway, this has issues on any model you put it on. I cannot, and I'm not to the point where I'm not teachable, but this one thing alone right here, I don't care even if it could be proved, to me is empirical evidence of anything. Like I said, I don't care. I don't care today if they went out there, discredited this or credited it and said, well, there you go. It's proof that it works. I'm like, okay, so what exactly are we proving here? That it's flat, that it's round, that it's square, that it's hollow? Like this to me, call it science, call it whatever you want. Like it just doesn't do anything for me. Like even back when I was like a globe person, I really looked at this and I'm like, I really don't see how this proves anything of any toward anybody's mentality, particular conclusive thought pattern. I don't know. That one was just way out there to me. But let's see. Yes, hit that like button, please. You'd see it spinning or something. Not spinning, separated from you. Fictitious force, which man, this is great. This is great. Yeah, it's okay. Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, once again, people have been playing. See, this is the great thing that we have now is we have a collective mindset, like a hive mind, if we want to, where that people can actually show, like the TikTok and YouTube. You could be standing in one place and a person standing in another, video flushing their toilet, and they both spin the same direction. Well, then this thing just got discredited just like that. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, it's just stupid. It's just a stupid point. I don't know. That would be like me as an electrician saying I can throw a 3-way switch and it will do this or it will do that. Nobody really cares. It's just putting electricity to one circuit or the other. Like that doesn't prove anything new to me. It's obvious there's electricity. It's obvious the flow is going to go somewhere. Like who cares? I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not seeing that. And if I'm missing something there, please somebody correct me because I try to keep a teachable spirit. And that one just blows my mind. All right. Now to one that really does matter though. All right, here we go. I would believe in a globe if Antarctica could be openly explored without limits. I just want to point out something here, and somebody correct me on this too if I've missed anything, but there is multiple countries on that Antarctic treaty right now that we're viewing that is either at war by proxy or that is actually at physical war. But now you don't see them down in Antarctica fighting each other. You don't. Okay. You just don't see it at all. I mean, at all. Right. But yet we see, you see this conflict going on, all over the world now, various different countries fighting everywhere but Antarctica. Does that not bring up some questionable issues? Furthermore, independent scientists and people that want to do study, they went down there, they've been arrested, they've disappeared, they've been killed. I mean, like, there's some issues with this. There is some major issues with this. When you visit, you have to be looked over. Like, I mean, you've got to have a oh, what is the word I was going to say? Like, you've got to be documented by said whatever government. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, like, I don't know. This is there's a serious issue when it comes down to this. Hey, I appreciate you, brother. The thing is, when people have filmed stuff in Antarctica that is questionable, there is people that have worked in Antarctica that has expressed things that are very questionable after they left, their tenure doing their thing there. Like, I'm just going to say this. It makes a massive red flag, that whenever you tell me that I'm restricted to go to a place that should be no issue because it's a barren wasteland and there's nothing there anyway. I mean, I don't know. This just is very, very, very distrustful. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. It is something that should be questioned by anybody that has a sound mind as to why in the world that the world can't get along, that we have hunger and poverty and death, murder, suicide, the whole 9 yards. We have all these problems in the world and nations killing each other, and World War III pretty much well in motion at this point. But all of a sudden we cannot, for the life of me, break this unbreakable bond that's down in Antarctica. Everybody's wants to just, be at peace down there. Yeah, that right there, massive red flags. Just saying. All right. Now, next one is, I would believe in a globe if NASA had actually gone to the moon. I want to make this point, and somebody, by all means comment if you disagree with this, because I'm just curious if there is anybody that thinks this way. But my point I would want to make on this is that if you look, there is a lot of people, I believe, in the Globe Earth movement that feel and have concluded that even with them believing in a globe Earth, they do not believe in the moon landing. Now, if you think that I'm lying about that, or that I'm not saying, the truth on the matter, then by all means, correct me in the comments. But I believe that is a very fair and factual statement. All right. There has been a lot come out about that the moon landings were staged. They were fake. They were filmed in a basement. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, there is a lot that has been expressed about this over time, and that has continued to come out. And like I said, I think this is a damning evidence right here for NASA, if nothing else, as an institution to be believed. But I think it's a real big issue whenever you lie this hard. And not only that, they're going to decommission the ISS, and they're doing a lot of things to backpedal in these days. All right, here's somebody that says they believe in the globe, and I don't think we've ever been to the moon. Now, no disrespect to that individual, but now that is a serious conflict of interest, because the biggest institution that purports that there is a globe is NASA, and NASA backed the lie that we went to the moon and they filmed it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that is a huge discredit to that institution, to their beliefs, and to their way. And I really do wonder with time that once that, the truth does really, really hit rock bottom on this, and there is a scraped foundation, and people see that there was no foundation for the moon landing thing, I really wonder if that's going to set people on a path where they question what else they've been lied to about on this, because to believe in a globe requires, to me, an immense amount of faith now that I just don't have for those kind of things. Because when you start looking at things like this and the truths that are coming out about it, it really leaves you on a rocky foundation of anything else that these institutions are telling you, because it's starting to be pretty obvious that they lie. All right. Now, the next thing that I want to point out, now I think this one's a very, very, very good one, is that I would believe in a globe if someone could prove how atmosphere just fades until it's vacuum space without losing any gases. Now, I think this is an actually excellent point from someone that dabbled a lot in science in school and loved science, to working with, for example, air conditioning and vacuumed spaces, to working with, heck, just a vacuum sealer for prepping food and stuff like that. Here's an issue, is that you have to have a container, to vacuum, to contain gases and etc. And like to look at this situation, what you're telling is that you have to remove certain scientific laws, while at the same time saying those scientific laws apply, while at the same time not operating within them laws in any way, shape, or form. Like that to me, like I just don't get. Yeah, exactly. And this is a very good point right here. This absolutely, that's what I'm saying. Like you've got to look at this. And secondly, I tried to think of an example. I'm like, people are not going to get what I'm saying. Like you've got to be, and I'm not insulting anyone when I say this. I mean, like you've got to be a highly technical operating person. Like, I mean, all I've ever done is been around technology pretty much the majority of my life. And from everything from pressurized gases to electronics to, photovoltaic, wind power, combustibles, I've got an industrial maintenance diploma. I mean, like volunteered and worked for FEMA for a while. I mean, like I've been around a lot of stuff. And one thing that really clicked for me recently, I'm like, how can I show people a point in case of what I'm saying? Is that this Ocean Gate, the sub thing, when it imploded, right? There, you've got to understand pressures and spaces and vacuum and how can I put this in an example for people? Well, here you go. You take, for example, this sub, right? And pretend it's that dude right there in so-called infinite space. At some point in reality, if this was true and legit, the minute that guy exited out of a contained structure, as per example here, he should have went poof, just like the people in that sub went poof. Now, that's what I'm expressing, because in a vacuum sealer, if I put stuff in a mason jar, seal the lid down in that, and then set that in the vacuum sealer, lock it down, and vacuum it down, the stuff inside that container is protected because it is in an enclosed space. But outside of that, it would just squeeze that right down. It would vacuum that down. All right. And that is, that's the point I'm trying to make in this, is that this requires three things. It requires you to not pay attention to scientific law. It requires you to believe that scientific law exists, but outside the bounds of reality where the specific laws set the boundaries anyway. And thirdly, it requires you to believe in a fantasy land. If you can put those three things together and blend them up in a blender, that's what makes these photos and these lies right here. All right. And if anybody wants to disagree, by all means, you have free speech there to disagree with me. I always would love to hear people's opinions on this stuff. All right. We're almost at the end of this, folks. I would believe in a globe if the sun and the moon were not the same size relative to us. Now, this one, ladies and gentlemen, is one that brought Lucas out of the darkness and into the light. I'll never forget. I was, I think I was coming back from Bristol. It's up Bristol. I just got out of SUN Day Church, and I was going to SAT Day Church time because I didn't know about the scriptural calendar. Keeping it from one new moon to another, one Sabbath to another by the lights in the heavens and not by the Roman calendar. So anyway, while I'm coming back, I had seen this Go Fast 2014 video, and it had the rocket going up into the sky, and then of course it bounced off the firmament and starts rolling back down. But what's intriguing is you see the sun and the moon on the same relative plane, look equal in size. And furthermore, when I looked on my astronomy software, because I used to be big into astronomy, I had Dobsonian telescope, the whole 9 yards, go to astronomy club meetings, all that crap, is that I got to looking on, punched in on the software. I put the time signatures in. I was like, okay, so the moon's supposed to be over Australia, like toward New Zealand, and the sun is over Nevada at this time, blah, 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 blah. You shouldn't even be able to see them. And you'd have to get so far out on the globe that even with that problem, that you shouldn't even have been able to see them relatively, because where that rocket was, the sun was right there. The moon should have been completely on the other side of the earth, but yet there you see it across the plane. And I was like, wow. I was like, that just don't match up. You know, and so brother, here's what's going to happen. Let me just go ahead and give you a prophetic. Let me just speak a prophetic word here. Is what's going to happen whenever if that's your pastor. I think somebody on here said that was their pastor. I don't know if that's yours, but if you see day number, what is it, December 3rd roll around, your pastor is going to be in a real bad spot, because whether he makes the other guy look bad or whether he wins that debate, or, you know, however that all pans out, the people that love y'all, that really, really want to see and understand the truth, are going to go get their scripture. They're going to start comparing this empirical evidences, like I've just expressed, people. Like if puts me in a cult is, you know, rest in peace, Brother Skiba's work, where that he literally showed that the curvature drop does not exist, yet they say it's supposed to exist. There is institutions that say this is supposed to be that curvature drop, but yet he literally proved empirically right there for all the world to see there was no curvature drop. These things like that, it is going to put a serious ramification on people that are in authority, that consider themselves pastors and teachers. It's going to be bad. This debate, the best thing that they could have ever done is not held this debate, because it will not end well. I promise you that, because people's going to come to the truth of that. And there's going to be a lot of people apparently join the flat earth cult after that. It's not going to end well for the honest truth seeker, because I used to be a huge supporter of the globe, and that is no more. And I've never seen anyone go from the globe to flat earth and go back to the globe. I've never seen that, but I have seen plenty of people that were globe earthers go to flat and never go back. That should send waves right there. All right. So another point to make on this, guys. Now, a lot of people in flight and things like that, and people that seen this over time, is that when the sun has been below the clouds, like not setting, just like literally the clouds were higher than the sun. There's been some interesting things and stuff where the people's observed these things. And like I said, with the Go Fast 2014 video, this was one of the first things that started a change in my life right here. Is if you watch the video carefully as it falls, the wobble falls down, is you see the sun and you see the moon. And of course, I love how it's got a fisheye lens, because one minute the earth is like mad domed, and then the next minute it's this big U. Oh, I love these fisheye lenses, bro. It just makes my whole day. But the long and short of it is that what is so important, if you'll take away from this, you take the time signatures, you look and you see that the sun is in one place over Nevada, and that the moon is literally over New Zealand, South Australia, like I guess like toward Brisbane, whatever. Is that bro, me neither. This is one cult I am thrilled to be a part of. I'm so glad my eyes have been made open on this. Is that whenever you look at this, this is a mad buzzkill to the globe Earth, because you have the sun where you can see it and the moon where you can see it, but it should not be visible. And that's using, astronomy tools. That's using proper timekeeping, our day-to-day timekeeping. I mean, empirical evidence, and you compare notes and they don't match. I mean, literally the software says that you shouldn't even be able to see the moon. And in reality on the globe, that's right. You shouldn't be able to see the moon. But guess what, baby? I seen the sun and the moon, and that video stands right there from 2014 forward for all the world to see. It is a witness to this day. Freaking bang up, awesome video. And what's funny about this is, to the best of my knowledge, it was supposed to be the highest amateur rocket launch ever attempted in the world to date. And it was for the Guinness World Book of Records, I think is what they were doing it for. And it ended up turning into a massive tool for the truth about the flat earth under a firmament dome. Oh, and what's really crazy about that too is you just see this thing going. Sorry, I don't mean to keep going on about this. There was just one other point, is that you see this rocket just go and go and go and go and go. And then finally it just goes boink, like it literally hits the dome. And it starts falling back. And then you just see it go in this wobble. I mean, like the thing didn't just run out of fuel. Like it literally just, because it had already expended its fuel. So it's under a massive thrust and it just hits. You should really check it out. Go Fast 2014. Just type it in on YouTube. Very interesting. All right, here we go. So the one that's I think that's wild, whenever you pull up the text here, that's where we're at. Oh yeah. I ain't going to worry about the last one. I'm just going to cover this one more point for right now because we're getting close to an hour. Is I would believe in a globe if moonlight was not cooler than moonshade. Now, what's wild is if you look up TikTok and YouTube videos, this is interesting because people can take this with empirical evidence using simple temperature testers. And you can go out and you can find that the moonshade and the moonlight, the difference in it, and how that the moon actually produces cold, right? Cold, where the sun produces heat and warmth. And I know people's like, this is such a stupid point. But the reason I bring this up is because this is things that are not being shared by NASA. Because in reality, whenever you start checking these things out, you start seeing the reality that the world is enclosed, and the world we live in, the scientific things that are being proven of it are not in line with what NASA is telling you. I find that a very interesting thing because you might be like, well, that was just stupid what you just said. Let me put it in layman's terms. The moon is supposed to be a reflector of the sun's light, right? The light comes from the sun, hits the moon, lights it up, right? Well, then in reality, it shouldn't be cold. It should not be producing cold light. Yet the moon produces its own light. And when it does produce light, it's cold. That, friends, is not in the textbooks. If you can find that in the textbooks, you show me. A brother would like to know. All right. But I'm telling you, this is just a handful of caveats that I would like to express to everyone, to tell you that you really need to do your own diligence and research this. You know, it's amazing to me. You know, just like, for example, earlier today, the effort that people puts into said, what was about my hand? Oh, yeah, it had skull and crossbones on. Yet when I literally held it up, it had crossed swords. And of course, yeah, it's not a very positive looking thing to some people, but it exists for a point in a different realm of things in the financial sector. But what's amazing to me is that you can literally, for example, hold something right in front of somebody's face and tell them, no, that's not what that is. Here's what it is. And they still reject it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reality we live in. And what is intriguing to me is that I think there's going to be, and I don't know why people hold so. See, the true Hebrew Israelites, the Father's calendar, and FE, if y'all know what FE stands for, this topic we're discussing, those have been the ones where I've lost people in discussion. 1 out of the 3 triggers somebody. And the one thing I cannot figure out is why people clutch so hardly to the globe. Like they clutch it with all their being and essence. And to me, I don't get it, because when you look at scripture, when you look at the empirical evidence that you can produce yourself, and that is comparable, that is reproducible, that is within the laws of science, the real laws of science, like, you know, you don't bend it, just use them as guidelines, like you actually use the laws of science. You're left with the facts at the end of the day. And I don't know if it's that people just don't want to see reality. People are too scared to accept it for what it is, or they love their sin. Now, that's all I can figure. Because one thing I hope that gets brought out in this debate, whenever this debate takes place, I think one of the most important things is that to support the globe Earth to me is idolatry. I'll just go ahead and say that first and foremost. Secondly, it leads into seducing spirits because it opens the door to the Big Bang. It opens the door to evolution. It opens the door to aliens. It opens the door to so many lies that people can be deceived to a level that I don't know if they can ever come back from. I mean, actually, there's a lot of people that support the globe Earth. I don't think they'll ever see it until the Most High hits them with a Carfax. I mean, I just really don't. And I don't know really what it's going to take, because to me, it is such a settled matter. It was one of the quickest truths that I ever arrived at in my entire life, because when I started to question the narrative and look at the opposing information, it was so crystal clear at the end of the day that this is not correct. That's the part that I really find mind-boggling at its deepest level, is when you actually have both things laid before you. You know, like when I looked at who the true Hebrew Israelites were they melanated or not? And, you know, I looked at Deuteronomy 28 and I'm like, well, this doesn't match to the people that's in the land over there today, but it sure matches what would be considered the people of the transatlantic slave trade. You know, that was pretty crystal clear and cut dry for me. When I look at the scriptural calendar and, you know, I consider upon it and I'm like, okay, so this is the Roman calendar. It used to be the Roman Republic calendar used to be 8 days long, lunisolar, and then it went to a stick calendar, and then it went to the planetary week, and then SAT day went from the first day of the week to the seventh day of the week, and SUN worship became prominent, so it started the head of the week, and then it went from a the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar. And then they took 10 days off because they had been off on their calendarization. And so you see all this, and it's like, okay, so I'm supposed to accept that, as opposed to just going out and looking at when the new moon starts, and counting 6 working days, counting the next day, keep it as new moon, and then count 6 work days, and then have a Sabbath. And it's the funniest thing is when I get to the end of that, then there's a new moon, and then the month starts again, just like in the scripture. I mean, how odd. And then you look at this. The topic we're having today is, it's like, I just went through these simple evidences and I'm like, they don't match what the governments and institutions that are supposed to be scientific tell me. But I literally take their sayings, I go over here and I measure this out, you know, just like a man taking a tape measure and measuring 6 foot out. I got to dig a hole here, and 6 foot further, I got to dig a hole on center there. You're telling me between this spot and this spot, within 6 foot, I'm going to have 17 feet of curvature drop because I live on a spinning ball. Okay. Well, actually, the craziest thing is that ain't a single inch of drop between them 6 foot apart. Who's lying? Am I lying? Do I not know how to read a tape measure? I mean, I'm a skilled construction worker. I mean, I've only done this for, 30 years, almost 30 years in my life now. I mean, have I missed something? What did I do wrong? But wait a minute, let me look at the engineering book. It says, oh, nope, don't account for curvature drop whenever construction. Well, there was the engineering book. Here, let me look at this. NASA says X amount of drop over X amount of distance. Let me get my laser level out. Oh, nope, that building's still exactly the same foundational height as over here. I don't know where all that drop went. I mean, like, bruh, wake the flip up. I mean, guys, it's some crazy ish. I mean, Father, please forgive me in heaven, but I get tiresome of this. Like, it is literally a steaming pile of cow-ish in my eyes, those 3 topics, like the opposite on them. Because I'm like, if you think that people left Israel one color and then they came back another, there's a serious issue there. Secondary problem is that if you're telling me about 27 variations of pagan calendars equal to the true calendar, and I'm supposed to follow it, but yet the true scriptural calendar is laid out in scripture and very easy to follow this day, and I follow that, you have an issue with it, there's something wrong with that. And thirdly, is that if you tell me I'm supposed to believe I live on a spinning ball, whenever time I turn around, I find that I'm on a flat, geostationary, non-moving surface that doesn't have curvature draw, that has a fixed realm that I live in, and that the firmament and the lights and everything in it is in place and doesn't move, we got some issues, and we all gonna have to sort this out. And this brother ain't the one gonna have to sort it out, because I done that a long time ago. All right, I'm about 14 years deep, I think, in the Torah now, and in this walk. And I'll be honest with you, if any of my beliefs are gonna put me in hell, I'll go ahead and I'll ride that on out right now, because I ain't changing my path. Not because everything that I believe, accept, and do, I can find a thus saith Yahweh why, and I can also find a realistic here in the world. I can actually go out and observe that, yeah, that really matches what the scripture says too. Historically, scientifically, scripturally, it matches up. That's all I have to say on that. So, guys, next week, I don't know if I'm going to be up on here. I've been kind of taking a break from YouTube, but I think next week, if not the next week, the following one, I want to talk about the United Corporate States of America. I've talked about it quite a bit, but off and on throughout videos over the years, just touched on this. But I really want to focus a live stream on that, and I'll tell you for why. Is because the United States has its tentacles in everything around the world. And whatever starts here in Babylon 2.0 usually funnels into the rest of the world. And there is a dynamic at place where the big tech, big pharma, shadow government, CIA, whatever you want, however you want to label her, they run this show. All right. Big pharma, big tech, big government. And there is a coming storm that if you think that what happened back in 2019 was a one and done, you've lost your ever-loving mind. And I feel like we're only about 6 months at best out from a replay. Check it out, replay button, of the replay of that. And it's going to be far worse this time. And if you haven't had your stabby jabbies, you know, it might be of concern to financially move forward in certain aspects, to have certain freedoms, and your compliance level may may dictate your comfort level in the near future. If you understand what I'm saying, you know, going from nice home to living under a bridge because you won't comply with the New World Order. You know, that is the point in case I'd like to make on that. And so the United Corporate States of America will be the spearhead of that, no doubt in my mind. And I'll be honest with you, when the trumpets start, it's not going to surprise me if America don't get some of the greater judgment, because, I mean, it is mistreated. The seed of Abraham has helped the first beast of Revelation, Great Whore Babylon, Roman Catholic Church, spread its lies all over the world and back it. There is a lot this wicked thing has done. And I appreciate you, Cindy. I'm trying to speak somewhat parables here on some of this. And so I'm telling you, mark it down, that get ready for a second round. That's what I'm going to say on that. And so I'm going to try to touch on that stuff in the video coming up. But now I got to be careful about how I say stuff and things anymore, guys, because last thing I'll say, and bump up off here, they took a video of mine down recently. I did not get a community guidelines strike. They said that I didn't maybe understand that I was violating YouTube's terms of service and guidelines, I believe is how the thing said. I didn't get a strike this time, which was very odd. But it took a content down that I just referenced what I'm just talking about. Just took that down. And found that intriguing, because every time I've gotten in trouble for the past 36 months, I would say, Father God, please forgive me if I'm lying, but I would say in a 36-month window, that every time I've had content taken down unanimously, it has been on that particular topic, or that the corruption of the U.S. government pushing a certain agenda and a certain thing. Every time I've had stuff took down, guys, that's exactly what it's been about. And laws being passed, etc., things against our will, blah, 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 blah. And that ain't by accident. That ain't by accident. That's all I got to say on that. So, guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to financially help support the channel, that is always welcome too. I got to be honest with you guys. I really think that it's getting closer and closer and closer to certain things and people and topics, on this platform being gone for good. All it takes is YouTube's terms of service to change, and their community guidelines thing, and stuff that was content for, who knows, 20 years on here, may be banned overnight. And these are things you really need to start thinking about, because just like this, last thing, literally last point I've got to make, is that just like with this debate coming up, I really don't care who wins, loses, or draw. What I care about is that conversation's getting out in front of people, because people that have the will to want to look into it for themselves, they will. I don't care about the rest, that wherever they're at. Like, they can just go on about their business. But for the people that have a heart to look for the truth, I really hope that they find that truth. And maybe this conversation, this debate will inspire that. So guys, as always, till we see again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel, I hope the Most High Yah Baruch and keep you, make his face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends, in Yahushua name. Love y'all. Have a great day.